Please take your time to come out of meditation slowly. Those who have been waiting to come out, you can open your eyes and gently close them back again, just to wait to observe and examine if how you feel now is any different from how you felt before this sitting. Please take your time. If you do not wish to open your eyes immediately, don't force yourself to do so. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. And without much movement or looking around, close your eyes again and try to see or taste your condition right now and see if there's any difference between how you feel now versus how you were before meditation. Suppose you do not feel anything much, then that's perfectly normal. Please proceed to write your diary and write exactly whatever you felt and however you feel now. If it is no change perceived, then so be it. Those of you who can feel something, particularly as the sitting was coming to conclusion, now with your eyes still closed, keep your attention towards the heart and try to savor that condition again. Try to feel, remain in that condition. There's no part of the mind to play here. It's all the heart. Just use the heart to feel what it is that you're feeling. If the feeling is still with you, as Master has suggested, take a deep breath and imagine that as you breathe in, this condition is expanding and it's filling every single cell of your body, of your being, every particle of your being, all the way to the head. And as you breathe out, it's also being spread to the lower part of the body, and your entire being is fully permeated by this condition, vibrating in this condition. You may repeat this a couple of times if you wish. Eyes are still closed, trying to hold on to that feeling. Even if meditation was restless, there were a lot of thoughts, do try closing your eyes after meditation and seeing if you can feel something having changed. Now gently open your eyes just a little bit, and with the eyes open, the attention is still towards the heart. The eyes are not looking straight ahead or looking around to see what is happening. With the eyes open, the attention still towards the heart. Can you still feel it? Whatever it is that you were feeling just now? Or if it immediately begins to dissipate, close your eyes again. Reconnect with that feeling. All it takes is turning your attention towards the heart simply waiting just for a few seconds. No panic, no anxiety of whether I'm doing it or whether I can do it. Just simply patient, loving, waiting. And as the feeling gains intensity, once more, we attempt to open our eyes very gently, ever so gently, little by little, while trying to hold on to that feeling in our heart. So you may repeat this till you feel that now, even with my eyes open, I am connected to that feeling. It may be peace, it may be feeling fresh, it may be feeling like you're away from everything, it may be a feeling of euphoria, it may be a feeling of love, of being completely enveloped. So whatever it is, continue to feel it and be in touch with it, even with your eyes open. Minimize physical and mental movement as far as it disturbs this connection that you have. Continue to hold on to it. And tell yourself that you are firmly in connection, in touch with this condition, and that it is now beginning to spread all around you into this entire space that you occupy. It may be your room, it may be the entire house. Imagine that this condition is now spreading throughout the space, almost like a bubble created in which you are seated. Once this feeling is established, and it doesn't take much time, only at the beginning will probably take 2 to 3 minutes after a 30-minute meditation. After that, gradually it will become second nature. It will happen very quickly, very naturally. So tell your mind that is thinking, oh my God, on top of meditation, I have to do all of this. Just a matter of few minutes, having invested the time. It's just going to take 2 or 3 more minutes. And once you're feeling, yes, it's all around me. Now all that has to be done is, suppose this is a regular day, whatever is the next activity, as you go towards that, take this condition along with you. Don't allow the mind to think, okay, that was meditation, now I need to get to the report that I was preparing. So I just push this aside and I jump into my daily life. Then the condition will disappear. Even though it was there, it will get drowned in the noise created by the mind. As we said yesterday, so far as the mental faculty is active, the feeling faculty is subdued. So allow yourself to maintain minimum mental activity as may be required, minimum physical activity as may be required to allow you to get a grip of that feeling. And now with the feeling, rise, go to the next step. During the day, whenever you can remember, try to turn your attention towards the heart and check, is that feeling still there? Is that calmness still there? Is what I felt this morning still there? Suppose you feel that I seem to have got a little distracted and I have gone away from it amidst all the work that I have been doing and all the deadlines that I am pursuing. Just take a few seconds. If possible, close your eyes. If not possible, even otherwise, just a few seconds, again, with your attention towards the heart, remind yourself of the condition and believe that it will be recreated. You will get the condition back. It is not lost only to be had maybe with the next sitting or the next meditation. You will be able to get it back. Just connect to your heart again and think, okay, now it is back. It seems I had got a little agitated. My heart was starting to become a little anxious. Now I took a couple of deep breaths. I'm back where it should be. So a simple way to do this would be, if you feel that at the end of meditation, suppose you were relaxed and your heart is at a certain state of relaxation, try to maintain a slight sense through the day where you don't allow it to become anxious, allow it to become agitated. Remind yourself that my feet can run fast if I need to catch something. My movements can be rapid if I need to multitask and do many things, but it does not mean that my heart has to automatically be dragged with things. My heart can remain absolutely calm, like Daji mentioned this morning. Like in a pool, the surface is absolutely placid and calm. And with that, I will actually be much, much more efficient than I would be when I think, okay, now this is battle mode, so all hands on deck. So every time you find that my heart is now starting to get a little anxious, it's not at the same stage of peace, try to bring yourself back. With the heart in a calm state, go ahead and do whatever. Run if you have to run, talk if you have to talk, do whatever it is that you have to do. Remember to keep checking, yes, the heart is still as calm as it was. As you take this process further, like we mentioned yesterday, with each person, when I'm talking, the condition is spreading to this person. With each handshake, the condition is being spread to this person. Anywhere I go, everything is drowned in divine remembrance and everyone is cultivating balance and moderation. So use all of these things to create, maintain, and strengthen this bubble around you. The one clue that I would like to emphasize before we move on to our whisper reading, let the heart always remain in the same state of calm. Don't allow it to deviate from that. Whatever may happen, you will be much better off with a calm heart. We can now move to whisper reading.
Yes, Sister Kalai, you can.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Kumar? Yeah. Beloved Master, Revered Babuji Maharaj, Whispers from the Brighter World, a fourth revelation. Friday, November 12, 1999, 10 a.m. However advanced on the spiritual path, one must keep in touch with the realities of modern life. One does not preclude the other. A mysticism too distant from the current material life is not desirable. You need in this incarnation to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground. Beside your spiritual work, it is necessary for your balance. We do not expect you to devote half of your time to Sahasma practice, but only to comply with what we advise you to do. Apart from the time spent doing your sadhana properly, we ask you to try to attend to your affairs while remaining as much as possible in a good condition of heart remembrance. This heart where so many admirable things are achieved. You have started having evidence of what we have been putting forward for a long time. Men of the future will no longer be able to deny anything. It will be as plain as 2 and 2 make 4. We are not yet there, and you must forge ahead, not in darkness. You have passed this stage only by trusting us completely about your progress and your final achievement. Think of the chance you have, Babuji.
Sister Kalai, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you again.
Can you hear me, brother, now? Okay.
Yes, sister, can. You can continue.
All right. Okay, I'll repeat from the start. Okay, good evening, dear brothers and sisters. Heartfulness Malaysia extends a very warm and hearty welcome to all our global viewers and our 90-day challenge participants who are joining us live for the 6th talk in a series of 12 virtual talks organized especially for Heartfulness Malaysia 90-day challenge. Today marks the 43rd day of our 90-day challenge in our firm determination and commitment to practice like never before. I am Kale Mahal, your host today for the 2nd day section with our esteemed guest speaker, Brother Dr. Hari Venkatesan. A very warm welcome to Brother Hari to the 2nd day of your coaching session. We had a very enlightening and enriching session yesterday and are very much looking forward to learn more. Continuing from your left off yesterday on the topic of AEIOU of Spirituality, reading of our inner condition, retaining of meditative state, and diary writing. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Brother Hari for the benefit of those who could not attend yesterday's program. We'll briefly go through Brother Hari's biodata. Brother Hari Venkatesan has been a heartfulness practitioner for over 25 years and a trainer for 17 years. He began the practice when he was 17 years old and became a trainer in 2004 while he was pursuing a doctoral degree in Singapore. Brother Hari is an associate professor of translation at the University of Macau and has completed his PhD at the National University of Singapore. He completed his undergraduate, BA Honors, and postgraduate at the Center for Chinese and Southeast Asian Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University and obtained an advanced diploma in Chinese from Beijing Language and Culture University. It's truly a special grace to have Brother Hari once again with us today to share his vast experience in heartfulness work. Despite his very busy schedule, we are indeed very grateful for this opportunity. Please join me to welcome him. Welcome, Brother Hari Venkatesh. It's over to you to continue with day 2 of the program.
Thank you very much, sister. And the only thing I can do to save myself from embarrassment is mute my video and audio. So I hope people don't mind. So taking from yesterday's discussion, I was reminded thankfully, I must acknowledge, by one of our dear sisters, that 90-day challenge in our context here actually doesn't mean the same as we have been applying it in Greater China. Thankfully, we got this clarified. I was under the impression that by 90-day challenge, we essentially mean beginners who are not yet regular in practice, and we are putting them through these 90 days where we meditate with them, clean with them, and provide them with inputs based on our little experience that would help carry them through these 90 days, at the end of which hopefully they would be able to become firmly rooted in practice. So my talk yesterday steered clear of some of the more essential aspects of practice, as I was targeting essentially beginners of heartfulness. I understand that we do have many who have just begun practice as well. So in order to make up for that, today's talk might be a little different. I would like to start, before we get into diary writing and a little more about how to maintain the condition, I would like to start by telling you about this episode that Chariji narrates, where he says that once he told Babuji that I really think that you are kind of cheating us with all this meditation, cleaning, evening prayer, etc., etc. I don't think any of these things are really needed. Babuji did not respond. He said, no, but these should be done. There was another time when Chariji again said, I'm very clear in my mind about how well my meditation or cleaning is. And if master is master, I don't believe he needs any of this on our part. I know for a fact that if master so wills, he can put anyone at any point at will. So why are you making us go through all of this? Babuji again said, no, it is essential. It is a very important thing. You must practice. It was the third time when Chariji again said that I know for a fact that my efforts, however well-meant and however assiduous, are in no way directly proportional to what it is that I have received. I know that everything comes from Master, and he is the source of all progress. then why is all of this required? Then Babuji said, precisely to reach this stage, that there is tacit understanding between the guide and the guided, that at those particularly tricky junctures, for example, when we are climbing a steep mountain, at those points when it is particularly important to not make a mistake, because a mistake would mean a slip and falling into the abyss. There, even against your better judgment, you would remember that if the guide says, put your feet here and not there, you will do it because of the trust that is established between the two. Where the trust is not there, which can only come out of love. You can imagine your loved one, you don't even need to be told that you need to trust them or whether you trust them or not. When it is a loved one whom you know very deeply, they cannot be suggesting anything that is against your interest. Because at the higher levels, it is particularly difficult. Because to your eyes and to your judgment, what might seem to be the right thing, or your ego might say, hey, maybe I can find a better way. The difference might be abyss versus going further up. More importantly, imagine, as Master has many times cited this example, if you take a person who is on the streets and put him in a palace, while it would seem like a dream come true, but the person would probably feel horribly out of place and will even feel suffocated with all the rules that he has to live by in the palace. So this business of Master putting anyone at any time at will into whatever place is possible, but would it be sustainable? I remember this episode of, I think, Oprah, where she talks about how they did a project where they gave a homeless person $300,000 and also made available to him planners, financial advisors, etc. And within about a year, he was back being homeless. So it is a gradual build-up where at a certain point, nothing can take you forward except for that love and trust, which essentially flowers into surrender. And then stage after stage is passed. It is way beyond what the mind can conceptualize, understand, or grasp. But this trust and love is not something that you can pretend. You either have it or it takes time to develop. Most of us, unfortunately, are not gifted with that love that Babuji had for Lalaji, that he saw him and after that he saw nothing else. As far as Babuji was concerned, he didn't meditate much. It is on record that at best he would have meditated for a few minutes. Chariji himself has narrated episodes where Babuji found out that he was not doing his cleaning, and he said, why, you think you're a Lord Sahib? You think you are a Lord, that you don't need to do the cleaning? He said, but I don't feel dirty. You are there, you are taking care of me. I don't feel that I need to do any of this. Babuji said, that's a good feeling, but you must do it. Once we understand, we will also be able to overcome this frustration that some of us feel, that from being someone who was on the outside to feeling, okay, this practice can do something for me. Now I try really hard to make my meditation, my cleaning, my prayer meditation, everything perfect, try really hard with constant remembrance, etc. But then you face this frustration that it seems I still cannot push things forward. There still seems to be some kind of a wall that is stopping me from going forward. What is that? It is precisely this. We need to understand that our efforts are not what is bringing us the change, the transformation, the results that we experience. The change, the transformation, the results that we experience are given to us in spite of all the resistance that we have. But with this modicum of cooperation and this change, transformation, and experiences that we get, from a state of testing, we come to a state of trusting. From a state of trusting and being relaxed about this practice, that, okay, do they have some ulterior motives, or is this a genuine thing? We come to the state of gratitude. Oh my God, when I look back to the time when I was not meditating, to now when I have meditated for this long, I see the change. I see who I am. And I definitely do not want to go back to what I was. So there comes gratitude. That gratitude then flowers into, but what can I do? This person of such meek capacity, of such little possibilities, and then the only possible course further on can be surrender. And in that surrender, whatever little I can do, I most willingly do. While people might think that I'm spending my time doing stuff for others, I know very clearly in my mind, this is the only way, a really insignificant way, in which I can demonstrate to my beloved that I'm willing to cooperate to the fullest. So at this stage, we understand that my meditation, my cleaning, my bedtime prayer, point A meditation, point B meditation, is not because these things are going to bring me progress. It is the only way available to me to demonstrate to my master that I'm willing to cooperate to the fullest. And with that obedience, he has in his hands the clay with which he can make whatever the master craftsman wants to make. Okay, so with that ramble, I will now get to why this business of diary writing. So those of you who are still thinking about, hey, what happened to maintaining the condition? Imagine this morning you woke up and you thought to yourself, I want to be calm today. I'm not going to be angry. Even in the office or at home, I'm going to be calm. How do you do that? You do that by not allowing yourself to slip into anger or expression thereof. If your resolve is strong enough, and with a little bit of sensitivity, when you know that here is something that's going to tick me off, you take a few steps behind and you let it go. So there is this constant input arising out of an interest and a resolve that says, let me not be angry at anyone today. Is that interest and resolve there in maintaining whatever condition has been given to us? Are we thinking of maintaining condition as something which is a to-do, which might bring me some abstract benefit, but I don't quite get how to do it? Or do you genuinely feel that I'm a little tired of this existence, this capricious existence that is great at one time, euphoric at another, and despondent at the other? I would like a certain stability. I would like a certain sameness. I would like equanimity of my heart and my inner space. So I would like to maintain the condition that I have. Specifically, the condition that I have been given after a said meditation. If that interest and resolve is there, all we need to do is, like today after the meditation we were saying, keep coming back to the heart every now and then during the day to examine, is it still there? Am I still calm? Am I still feeling the same condition that I was experiencing this morning? If it has not expanded or intensified, at least is it still there, palpably there? And I try my best. Not every meditation will bring us a very clear, tangible change in condition. Never mind. We still follow the process that Master has suggested. We try to brood over our condition. We try to see if we can feel something If we cannot, the next time I again try to switch off thinking and wait, abide in feeling, and see if I can perceive what people are calling a condition. Now, diary writing helps a lot in this process too. First question, why maintain a diary? Now that I know that not all are beginners here, and given what it is that we talked about before this, simply because Master says do it. For disciples, no more reasons are required. For Abhyasis, there will be reasons. For seekers, there will be doubts, which we will also try to clarify. It enhances sensitivity. When it is done earnestly, as we proceed on in the spiritual journey, gradually, for all the things that are not of the sensory world, through diary writing, we evolve a language of our own with which we will be able to describe things that we are going through. And as we continue with our diary writing and periodically go back to see what we have written some time back, we often find that we are ourselves surprised at the things that we might have noted down. It might almost seem like, did I really experience these things? Because a lot of time, as Master has said, the feeling is fresh when you have just emerged from meditation, even if you subjectively felt it was quite shallow. It still has some depth compared to the general waking state that we have. So gradually, over a period of time, the knowledge that I'm going to write my diary after a sitting or a meditation in some way prompts us to observe more keenly, and that helps us develop sensitivity. The third very useful purpose of maintaining a diary is it becomes a record for progress, even if not for others, but definitely for our own selves, because as Master has often suggested, it is hard, particularly after a few years of practice, to know what is changing day by day. But if we take a slightly longer length of time to observe our own progress, then it becomes quite evident. So those of you who are regularly maintaining diaries, I hope you will be able to testify to this, that if you pick up your diary entries from a few months back and see what it is that you're telling yourself there about how you feel, what you're going through, what kinds of experiences you are having during meditation, and compare it through the process of what you have been writing from that point to now, you will be able to see a pattern. First of all, you should be able to see that pattern that we talked about yesterday of being able to effortlessly slip into meditation, to being at the surface, you can meditate but can't quite go very deep, to the third phase where it seems like you don't know what is meditation and how to meditate. It seems you are, from the beginning to the end, completely besieged by thoughts and nothing is really happening. What even our medium in one of the whispers mentions as graceless meditation. Today was yet another meditation without grace. But Babaji tells her, no, something has happened. It's just that it has not come to your awareness yet. I would like to read this preface to the Abhyasi diary of Sri Ramchandra Mission that was penned by Chariji. It says, dear brothers and sisters, a diary is not merely a book in which we write our thoughts and the day's activities. It is no doubt this too, but it is also a progressive record of one's spiritual development and evolution. The progressive nature becomes evident and perceptible to one who maintains the diary only when it is read after a year or so. When a person climbs up a mountain, one hardly sees anything of the road, either above or below, because of the twists and turns that the road takes. But then when one reaches a sufficient height, he can look back and see the winding road on which one has come. So in effect, we gain perspective, understanding, and knowledge of our growth by maintaining the diary. The second part is even more important. And once again, the talk that I suggested yesterday also includes diary writing. And Chariji talks about how at the beginning he made very superficial entries like, oh, I had thoughts or I had a good meditation. But progressively, he became more and more candid about what it is that he perceived in himself, what it is that he was ashamed of, what it is that he wanted to do better with, increasingly becoming a true reflection of the inner state. He says a diary must be able to record authentic events and thoughts, undistorted by exaggeration and complete without suppression of valid material. I can imagine that some people might hesitate doing something like this for the fear that the diary might be read by someone else. For this, I'm sure in this day and age, you have ways in which you can protect whatever it is that you're writing so that nobody else has access to it. But it's very important that it is candid, without exaggeration, without suppression. In fact, it should be an open record with nothing hidden and nothing omitted from the context. Such a record makes it easy for a person to look into himself with absolute candor, by which assessment of one's own condition becomes simple and easy, and then you can also begin to accept oneself as he or she is without feelings of shame and guilt. Simultaneously, you're able to take corrective action through the grace of Master and the method that is available to us. Meditation is like a mirror for our inner selves. The outer self we see in the mirror in the form of the body. And what is the purpose of looking at the mirror? We'll come to that in a minute. A diary is therefore a very important personal document, which, if maintained properly and regularly, can become a useful instrument in one's self-assessment and therefore in one's evolution. Unfortunately, in this day and age where we are very used to instant coffee and instant noodles, unbeknownst to ourselves, we might have also become impatient when it comes to taking the time to examine growth. This is also one of the problems we face, even with a super efficient system like Heartfulness, which is aided by this precious transmission, that although it is producing remarkable results, but if we are going to base our judgment on simply one sitting or one meditation, imagine a seed that you put into the ground and you watered for 2 days. It was about to sprout on the third day, but you left thinking nothing is happening. So we need that patience. And as you see here, Chariji is saying 1 year. You will see it very, very clearly. A further feature of the diary is that the diary of Abhyasis who progress well on the path can also become records for reference by other Abhyasis and thus help them on their path too, because obviously there'll be similarities, even though we might use different words to express the same things that we go through. Okay. So this mirror, what is the purpose of a mirror? Why would we look at a mirror at all? To make sure we look our best, to remove anything that should not be there, to add to us whatever is needed, to present the best version of ourselves. Meditation is very much a mirror reflecting our inner state. So for even those of us who feel, oh, I sit in meditation and there are all sorts of thoughts in my head, doesn't that tell you something? That the moment you close your eyes, you have all sorts of thoughts. That itself is reflecting a certain condition of your being. Slowly, out of this fog of all sorts of thoughts, it becomes clear. These are my fears. These are my hopes. These are my anxieties. And as it happens when you look at yourself in the mirror, you might not have realized that you spilled some sauce on your shirt when you were having your dinner. And now you see it clearly. And then it becomes very easy to correct it because now you can see it. So this is a beautiful mirror, which if we can record accurately, It's like we have this device with which you can take an image of what you see reflected on the mirror, which is our diary. If you can record this, you will see progressively, today I have written down that I lost my temper again. I didn't like it, but I cannot help myself. Oh, Master, please help me. It is only a matter of time when you would be able to write that by Master's grace, this is not happening any longer. Praise be the Lord. So it's a snapshot of that which we find in the mirror. If we can find it in ourselves, to be very candid, it's not just about, okay, today meditation, I felt some vibration at this point. Does that mean I'm at that point? That can also be included, definitely to be written down. But more importantly, changes in character, hopes for change in character. Okay, let me just pause there for a second. Yes, sorry for that interruption. I was prompted that I'm running out of battery. So back to our PowerPoint. So if we have the courage to note down what and how we are, we might be able to know what needs to be dropped and what needs to be developed. Now, here is another really interesting quote. Say, Babaji used to say, while you should aspire intensely for progress, do not try to evaluate your progress yourself, but write your diary. After 1 year, while reading it, one discovers the cycles of progress. One should grant oneself the time to evaluate, but most people make an assessment from sitting to sitting. Yesterday, the sitting was good, that one is no good. So now what to write in the diary? Mainly 3 things. Write down what you feel after a sitting or meditation. What is of particular value is not the process of meditation, that it was deep, it was not deep, I had thoughts, I did not have thoughts. That's okay, you can write a line about that. But the most important thing is, after meditation, what is it that I felt? Did I feel any different at the end of this sitting, at the end of this meditation, compared to how I was feeling before this meditation? It will also in some ways tell you, you might yourself know that I was badly distracted. I had so many things on my mind. So I was on the surface throughout. The second one, very, very important, write down change in character behavior. For some time now, I have not been smoking. I didn't even realize. For some time now, I have been feeling this sense of love. Even people who would generally annoy me, I seem to be able to understand and appreciate them. For some time now, I feel like retreating into myself and being less combative with the world. All of these are signs of the path that we are on, and they're very, very precious. And eventually they will reveal a pattern. As Master says, it's like climbing a mountain. When you have reached a certain height and you look back, the whole thing becomes very clear. And then the third one is any new inspirations that you have. Now, these might, at a later date, when you go back and look at it, it might seem like nothing special. But in that moment, when it comes with the full force of feeling, it might trigger something really important in you. So in that sense, it is a milestone and it should be recorded. Master has also mentioned things like, for instance, dreams, where are current master, he mentioned that once he had a dream about being with Chariji in a place with tall trees, etc. And he just made a note of it in his diary. And much later, there was an occasion when they traveled to the United States and they found themselves in a place that was exactly the same. So any such vivid dreams, dreams which all of us cherish, where the master appears to us, or something significant, something profound seems to have happened, these would be the precious gems that we can collect on the way and record them in the diary. Here is another really good guide for us. Lalaji has suggested these 10 things that we can record in our diary. Is fresh ideas generated, ideas I have not had before, different kinds of feelings arisen. If it is generally calm, any movement will be perceptible. That's what we mean by sensitivity. So what are the different kinds of feelings that I have experienced during this day? Special happenings or important events, that I think goes without explaining. Peculiar signs in own profession observed. Are you different in your profession compared to how you were before? Over a period of time, definitely there would be a change, at least as far as we allow it to express itself. But inside, you should definitely be able to feel a change. The dreams seen, the words heard inside. We have a lot of brothers and sisters who often talk about, I went somewhere into the meditation, it seemed there was a dialogue happening. If it is clear to you what it was, perhaps you would like to write it down. All of this is fresh in memory when we just emerge from meditation or just waking up from a dream. And it would be a good thing to have your diary handy so that you could just note it down. Special change or definite improvement taking place in character. We all know that the master often emphasizes spiritual progress is in my hand, character formation is in your hand. And recently, we have heard repeatedly, without character formation, you can assume that you have not even stepped down to the first ladder of spirituality. So where character changes are observed, progressively becoming more balanced, no sharp edges. That is also something that is worth writing. Astral voices heard, losing of worldly bondage of Maya, etc. Not that particular, not that hung up over things, etc., etc. So these are the 10 things that we can note down. This is the same table that I showed you yesterday, just in case we need something a little more specific to guide us to writing. This is for use by people only at the very beginning, where I don't know what to write. I closed my eyes. There were a lot of thoughts towards the end. I felt a little calm. So what can I write? In such cases, you could take reference to something like this table, and you could write accordingly whatever it is that you can feel. But do write, as Chariji has repeatedly mentioned. Babuji filled many pages in his diary with no change perceived, nothing perceived today. And Chariji suggested that this would be a waste of paper. We could save considerably in the amount we spend on printing if we could delete these pages. But Babuji insisted on keeping it there because it demonstrates to all brothers and sisters that he still was observing, just that there was no change perceived on that given day. So please continue with writing the diary, whether or not you feel something really profound. No need to feel that, oh, okay, it seems people are supposed to feel something profound. I'm not feeling it. It will happen. Each time we faithfully, candidly record whatever it is, and also our own aspirations and where it is that we would like to get. Once again, down below, I'm highlighting, please do watch Experience and Condition given by Chariji on August 10, 1987. So with this, I would like to end my very long ramble, and please do excuse me if all of this is far too shallow and bland, for I'm sure many of you have heard this over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. It was a really great detailed explanation in diary writing, and it sure is very beneficial for those who has no clue of what to write in the diary. Okay, I will go to the question now, continue with from yesterday. So today's question, the 8th question, which will be the first question today. What are the ways and means of mastering the witness principle within us?
So it's very interesting that you asked this question. I think we can start by making a distinction between observing and witnessing. Those of you who remember Master's article on the observer paradox, you will understand that if we say observing, in some way has, for instance, meditation begins and I feel something, let's say at a point here, where I'm very curious to know, okay, is this, does this mean I'm here? Is this going to go further up or is this going to intensify? This kind of observation is an interference because it comes into conflict with what or where transmission is trying to take us. The disposition of a witness instead is one where, yes, I register that there is something here. I continue to be open for it to go wherever it wants to go. In another way, I sit in meditation, I have closed my eyes, my attention is turned towards my heart. My attitude is like somebody tells me, hey, can you hear that sound? And now I'm trying to intently hear what sound is this person talking about. And I wait in this state. And even as some feeling begins to come, oh, it looks like I'm starting to get a little absorbed. Oh, it looks like I'm starting to descend. There is no inclination to say, okay, will this happen today? Or will that happen? Or will this go like this? None of that is happening. There is a passive witnessing. I'm like the screen on which things are being played, and I'm registering that, yes, all this is happening, but I'm not involved in any way in wishing it may be this way or that way, or not this way or not that way. So that is the witness.
Thank you very much, brother. Next question. Babuji said, I want everyone to write a diary. And the more minute and precise the reading will be, the more efficacious my training will be. In our daily life, we want to follow this advice, but many a times we tend to postpone writing our diary. Can you please give us some tips as to how we can develop this habit of writing our diaries daily?
I think, thank you for this question. I think this also happens particularly because right at the beginning, when we say write a diary, we are often at loss to understand what am I supposed to write about. Suppose my experience of meditation today was, I closed my eyes, I really hoped that there could be no thoughts. But from the beginning to the end, there were all sorts of thoughts. And now I'm wondering, I have already written things like this before, or even if I have not, what is the point of writing that I had a lot of thoughts? But like we just said, over a period of time, you will see that I had thoughts. Then felt very different, felt very special, seemed to go deep into some place, some space, but not clear, unable to recall. You will see cycles of this repeating itself. What we previously mentioned, this is essentially where I was in the second or the third phase of meditation. And now the cycle has been completed, and now I'm in another place, another dimension, which I'm now beginning to discover. And once again, it is like a deep meditation that comes. The only thing I can say is, even if it is just a few words, it would be good. And if you feel that, the diary is not always handy. Use your mobile phone, use your handheld device, whatever it is that is nearest to you. Write a few words just after meditation. After meditation has finished, write a few words. Chariji even used to make it a point to write at the end of the day. I mean, if and when you feel that there is a lot that I'm registering inside me that I would like to record, you can do that separately. But for now, let's just begin with, in the morning, after my morning meditation, whatever it is, many thoughts, just 2 words like that. Let me start with that. You cannot write something unless something has come to view. I give you a pen and a paper and I say, okay, you go into this room and you write what you see. At the beginning, it might be superficial. I see walls, I see a table. No, but what else can you write to describe? Okay, the walls are white, the table is brown. Anything else? Okay, the table seems to be a little old, a lot of spots on it. Anything else? And then you see progressively it becomes finer and finer and finer. So it is important that we continue to know that I have to write my diary. It will improve sensitivity, not the other way around.
Thank you very much, brother. Okay, next question. Many people think they should wait to do meditation later in life and focus on career, family, and etc. while they are young. Some parents are against their children meditating while they are studying or starting a career because they think it will take them away from worldly activities. On the contrary, you started Heartfulness meditation at the age of 17. You were a brilliant student, outstanding scholar, and academically very talented. Now you are an eminent professor in the university. Please share, how has meditation helped you in your journey to success in the field of education and in your career?
Okay, that's a very long question. I was a very average student all the way up to my high school. My maths exams used to be times of desperate prayer that somehow get me through this thing. And I used to barely manage to pass. But yes, after I came to the feet of Master, what I can recall, because now it has been quite some time, I can't imagine what things were like before we came to this practice. What I recall very clearly is that from a state of chaos and bewilderment mentally, progressively it is a state of clarity in the mind. And those who meditate, in fact, as Daji has also mentioned many, many times, that you do in whatever profession or whatever field you are engaged in, it is in fact that you're more prepared to achieve excellence than before, for the simple reason that you are someone who's spending a lot of time observing yourself, watching yourself, developing sensitivity. So you will find that very soon, what used to take you half an hour, because in that half an hour, there is a lot of faffing around before you get to the real thing. Today, it takes you 10 minutes because you're very clear, okay, this needs to be done, let's do this. So it brings a lot of clarity. The idea of we still have time, we are still young, we can do this later, I think it's a little bit of a legacy that comes to us from the old thinking of brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa, where you feel these are things for old people to take up. You're still young, you have so much to do. Nobody said stop doing all these things. The fantastic thing about our system is nobody is saying run to the mountains or to the jungle and leave all this behind. In fact, we are saying you do this and you'll get better at everything that you're doing. And in my experience, at least, I can attest that from a state of perennial confusion and haze, it is like someone who was walking around in fog with cataract at night to someone who is able to see the day clearly. So this is something that people have to experience for themselves. And I think when we feel that, well, there is still a lot of time, I'm often reminded that there is a statement by Babaji that says, Now you don't have time. The biggest fear is that time doesn't have you.
It's a very clear explanation, so the youngsters can join the mission and start practicing as early as they can.
Earlier the better.
Yes.
Acharya also said in later stages it is also possible, but he says sometimes the iron has entered the heart. Some things become very difficult to change. So earlier the better. I claim no credit for having joined the system. I never knew why. My preceptor did not explain much why. And if someone asks me, why did you hang on? I have no answer why, except to be very, very grateful to Master.
Thanks, brother. The next question. How has meditation helped your students in your university that you work with currently?
So, we published quite a detailed testimonial, and a lot of them attested to feeling very disillusioned with the world and feeling a certain pointlessness of their endeavors to feeling actually positive and optimistic about life. So this is one kind of, experience. And I'm talking about Abhyasis who had spent just about 2 to 3 months in practice. Then there were those who said that since I started practicing heartfulness meditation, I have a state of inner joy, which has endured. And I feel that I have found my home. So this was also very, very gratifying. There were also others who mentioned things that were much more modest, like I feel a sense of balance. I feel that I have now come to a stage where I know what it is that I want in life. So things of this sort. But even the least sensitive of people, at around 3 to 4 months of practice, they are all able to say that I can feel that in all aspects of life, there is a trend towards balance. I can feel that I sometimes surprise myself at not reacting the way I know I would usually, given the situation. So these are things that we've all experienced. And some have remarkable experiences, which are, simply fantastic, but I don't think they are very representative.
Thanks, brother. Brother Hari, you're also known to be an expert in languages, a linguist and proficiently speak 8 different languages. How has heartfulness meditation helped you master language? Please, could you give us some insight on this?
Well, I can only say that we all have these samskaras, which are nothing but thoughts and actions that have been repeated again and again, eventually hardening into tendencies, which upon further hardening have turned into these impressions that color our likes, our dislikes, our inclinations, and our tendencies. So about languages, what I can say is that very early in life, I used to be fascinated with the different scripts that were there. So this is a tendency that is there, who knows from when and how it was created. The beauty of our system is, while ridding ourselves of these impressions where they may be limiting, the system also makes the best use of these impressions. So there was a point in my life when for no reason I took up learning French, and I did about 2 or 3 semesters of it. And I never understood why I did that. But today, one of the things that I do every day morning after my meditation is to translate one whisper from the original French into Chinese, which is then sent out to everyone. And it makes sense why that happened. Likewise, even coming into Chinese happened so magically that a friend with whom I had long lost touch by himself sent me a packet in which there was the admission brochure for a university that had a Chinese program in the north of India, which was my alma mater. And he said, "Hey, I remember you used to like languages. I thought you might be interested in applying for this." By which time the deadline for admissions had actually passed. and yet things happened, and then all of that is history. So I think it was nothing but this invisible hand saying, okay, this bugger has this pile of samskaras. What can be done with this? So while on one hand we are working through that, on the other hand, it is something that serves you, that serves hopefully something better than just you, and we make the best use of it. All of us who have whatever skills or whatever bent of mind or whatever hobbies or interests, in some way you will find that it'll be worked into this beautiful tapestry that we are creating here. So I don't claim any particular unique quality because of which you are great. My suspicion is very much that this is Master's job.
Yes, the invisible hand has guided you through all.
Once when he was how Chinese, somebody is saying Chinese is a very difficult language to learn. How long did it take you? I used to, because we were exposed to Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan movies in our childhood, I used to dream of being able to decipher these characters. So I never found it difficult. Where there is interest, there is love, and you don't think it is difficult, you're quenching your thirst. So everything else becomes an impediment. That, oh, I don't have a book or I don't have something to teach me is just an impediment I need to overcome to get to what it is that I love. So where there is interest, it is all possible. And again, I mean, we will be able to create opportunities for ourselves to do what we want if we really want to do it.
Thanks, brother. Next question. You are the Heartfulness Ambassador for China and also have been pivotal in spreading heartfulness meditation effectively. Today, we have thousands of heartfulness practitioners all over Greater China region. Please share this success story with us. Also, some of the challenges that you face and how you made it to such a resounding level of success in such a short span of time.
I mean, thank you for that very generous statement. But it's not really thousands and thousands. And we are very glad that we have a lot of centers and we have a lot of very dedicated abhyasis and volunteers. So much so that we have the app in Chinese, we have Heartfulness magazine in Chinese, we have published so many books in Chinese, and we have people thirsty for volunteer work, which is a fantastic thing. None of which is really the doing of any single person. There were so many waves of people and prefects who worked in China way before I got to the scene. And there was, as we mentioned yesterday, there was very good pioneering work done by Brother Stanislas Lajugi, who's now in Bangladesh. For a very long time, he was based in Shanghai. Under whom many of these centers were established. Sister Jenny from Singapore did fantastic work, traveling to many centers repeatedly till the center started becoming stable, and there were the first abhyasis who became more regular. One of the things that has really helped us is localization. So things don't hit the heart until it is in your language, the language that you're most comfortable with. So here it includes the way in which you speak. Now, we might all be speaking English, but if English is spoken a certain way in the place where you are, that would be the way in which it hits your heart most easily. Otherwise, it hits your mind first. So one of the things that really helped is localization and progressively allowing heartfulness to be colored with the local characteristics. While the core message and the practice, etc., remain completely undiluted, but gradually and very organically, things evolve into things like an invitation to tea. And then along with this invitation to tea, there's no real tea. It's basically about a topic that we're going to discuss. So there is some intermingling with Chinese culture, with the local culture, the way people like to do things on the ground, and progressively allowing the local people to take it up and take it forward. The core message remains the same, but it is not it is no longer an alien import. In fact, we very gladly find the situation where some of our abhyasis who are very, very dedicated and very well grounded in the practice, they are willing to share something which is really profound. And then the only thing is that they have it all in Chinese. They don't have it in English. So then they have to find someone to translate it into English. So as far as we can move towards that, and we can strike a chord. I think when we were in Singapore, one of the things that we used to keep saying, I remember in fact that with a brother from Seremban, we also designed a very basic pamphlet that was in Bahasa Melayu, in Tamil, and in Chinese, all three of them. That's a very small beginning. The next thing is, okay, every time we are having our lunches or breakfasts, it doesn't always have to be Indian idli, sambar, or whatever it is. We can have bihun sometime, we can have something Malay sometime. So you become more and more inclusive. Basically, that is the formula. As far as possible, those who are from the outside, your first and the foremost purpose and objective should be to hand over to the locals and move out as soon as you can. So this has been our experience, and this is how it has worked.
Thanks, brother. The next question. Please share some of the best priceless advice that you have personally received from our guides that had an incredible and transformational impact in your life.
So many that it would take a long time to tell all of these. One very early from Chariji, when we were debating an issue, he said, "Don't wring the cloth until it tears." This was very, very nice. You might be able to prove a point, but don't persist with it to the point where you are trying to dry your cloth, but you end up tearing it. It is not of much help. At one point, I wrote to him about this business of what in Urdu they call mohabbat versus murabbat, compulsion versus love. Said that I don't understand whether it is lack of love in me, or is this compulsion that is visible in others. And Chariji wrote back saying, it is always good to think that it is something lacking in you so that you can emulate and learn rather than criticize. So this was another very, very beautiful one. Another one that happened in Perth was when we were in a cafe, and there was a biscotti that was put in front of us. And it was really hard like a nut. And I was thinking, how is this thing? Oh my God, how am I going to eat this? And then Chariji said, just place your knife on top of it and hold for a little while, and it splits. So many of these. And tons of them with Daji also. It would take a very long time to narrate all of them. So many of them.
Thanks, brother. The question from the floor. During meditation, is it possible to be in a state where you feel your mind is in two different entities? One side of my mind is in constant thoughts, where plenty of cleaning is taking place, and the other side of the mind in deep in meditation.
Yes, it depends on the method that is being used at that time. I can share that the method that was used in our sitting yesterday would have produced an effect like that. There are methods where there is transmission followed by cleaning, followed by transmission at the end. And there are methods, if and when people can take it, where transmission and cleaning proceed at the same time continuously. In case of such a sitting, you will feel that at one level, it seems that thoughts are there continuously. And at the same time, at the other level, you're also absorbed. Yes, it's normal.
Thanks, brother. So another question from the floor. Chinese is very difficult language.
I took that one.
Yeah, you took the question, yes. So is there any other question from the floor? Brother Ramesh, you have any question?
Can it happen in morning meditation? Unlikely. It could, but unlikely. The reason I say it could is because there might be someone who's giving you a sitting.
Brother Ramesh, you have anything?
No, I don't. Yes, answered everything already.
All right.
Are we out of questions? Is there any
So that's
more?
another question.
Yeah.
Is being vegetarian is a must for spiritual growth, sir?
The answer is not as a prerequisite. Master has clarified that first thing to clarify is this has nothing to do with being against violence or killing anything, because as Chariji has mentioned, plants also have life. Then we are going to end up going to ridiculous extents that, okay, let me not eat anything that has to be uprooted. Maybe I eat only things that grow on plants and then I don't have to kill them for it, things of that sort. What does happen is, as we practice, depending on the level of refinement, we say that the intake has to be of an according order, of a corresponding order. So the example Master takes is that the aviation fuel and petrol come from the same oil, but they represent different levels of purification and refinement. So you will find, and this is something that a lot of our abhyasis in the Greater China region find, that they are all meat eaters, but within a few months of practice, all by themselves, they start feeling heavy when they consume meat. And then very, very naturally, they start feeling that I feel better when I have vegetables or when I have simple food. And when this happens very naturally, the change is also something that doesn't require much effort on our part. To answer your question very simply, please do not prematurely change your dietary habits, because we've also had another problem, which is those cultures or those persons, individuals who are not coming from a background where they have been following a vegetarian diet, if they suddenly and abruptly give up eating meat, they might develop a deficiency, particularly when it comes to vitamin B12 and some other things that are not found easily in a plant-based diet. And we have had cases where 3 or 4 years down the line, people are feeling a little bit of brain fog and feeling that everything is a little slow, feeling generally tired. They start thinking, is this what constant remembrance feels like? Then I have to tell them, please check your blood pressure. If it is low, basically you are suffering from B12 deficiency. So as and when you do switch to a vegetarian diet, do remember that it is very important for you to follow guidelines. Suppose you don't have a tradition of vegetarian diet. And it was very interesting for me that I found the Taiwanese Ministry of Health, because they have about 10% vegetarians. They say that a mixture of lentils, or what we call dals, with rice forms one of the best combinations for vegetarians, because it gives you the protein carbohydrate combination. Anyway, let me not make this a very long answer. It is not a must for spiritual growth. At a certain point, you will automatically feel that this is the kind of intake or food that I feel good with. And at that time, you can make the change. But even when you do, please pay due attention to nutrition and balanced nutrition.
Thanks, brother. Since there's no more questions from the floor, it's going to be 7 p.m. in Malaysia, and we have reached the end of the program, brother. So on behalf of the global audience, I would like to thank you, Brother Hari.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time, effort you have taken, and sharing your wonderful experience. We are all blessed to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's very much a blessing for me. It extracts me from all the other things that I might foolishly get involved in. And I have this opportunity of being together in Master's remembrance with all of you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thanks for our brothers and sisters for joining us today too.
Thank you, brother.